up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show. You already know how we come in. It's your host, George. You know, we got Jacqueline and Carter with us as always. And of course, today we also got a special guest. We got Shaod, aka the Boat Goat, who's going to tap in with us and give us all the game on these boat rentals, man. Hey, man, how are you, man? Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, listen, man, I'm blessed, brother. I appreciate you all allowing me the opportunity to touch your platform.
Hey,
we're happy to have you here. Super excited. You know, it is Black History Month, so it's not quite boat season, but I mean, I'm ready to be on a boat at any time. Like, call me, I'm coming where the water is, where the sun is. So like, I'm super excited to figure out how we can make some money off of this. I love your hoodie. So for those who are listening to the podcast, Shaod has on a hoodie that says, "I don't look like what I've been through." Okay, I love that, and I can't wait for us to talk more about that.
I love that, man. Well, you know, we was talking offline before we got started, and he's like, "Look, y'all, I'm here for the people. Like, you know, so let's get into it. Let's go ahead and tap in." So he's just gonna get right to it, man. Let's just walk us through your journey, man. Like, how did you get here? I mean, literally, if someone mentions boats, right, you're probably the person that they think of. So how do you go from being a quote unquote, you know, household name in the culture in your zone of genius to maybe where you started from? Can you just walk us through that, man?
Truth be told, man, I when people ask me, how did you get into the boat rental industry? I always say God, right? and the reason why I say that is because at the time, before getting into the business side of this thing, I've had always owned a boat. But at the time I was a, big time drug dealer here in D.C., pushing coke and weed and PCP and Molly. And, I had a little bit of everything. So I had a lot of people working for me. I had about 7 people working for me. And all of those people were getting locked up. So I'm like, man, but keep in mind, I had a master's in criminal justice. I had 6 years in the Army.
Oh, wait.
Huh? Yeah, like, wait, this is a lot.
The story we got to go from start, man, because again, we can take our time with it. Well, I'm just really, can you just give us the journey, man? Because that's like crazy.
Like, I need to know Baby Shaod. Like, what was Baby Shaod doing?
I mean, Baby Shaod was, I guess I would say a hustling entrepreneur then too. Honestly, I grew up in Washington D.C. Single mother. Unfortunately, my mother she abused drugs and alcohol, so I was one of those kids who had to kind of like fend for himself. Meaning I had to sometimes cook for myself because it was either my mother was at work trying to provide for us and I was home alone, or she was home but she was high or drunk and she just wasn't there mentally. She was there physically but not mentally. So a lot of my childhood growing up, I was, fending for myself. Hence why I know how to cook and throw down and all that good stuff now.
I've seen the hibachi grill. I've seen the hibachi grill in the crib. It's real. It's real.
So I've been doing this for quite some time now, but my story is a little different though. People that tend to grow up with, parents that abuse drugs and, all the other stuff that comes with the bad stories, they tend to become a statistic. And it was just like in my head, God just always, put it in the back of my mind, I'm going to use this as fuel, not to fall victim to what my other family members are doing. So, watching my mom abuse drugs, it just always had me like, I would never use drugs, right? I tried weed one time in high school just because my buddies was doing it and it wasn't for me. But also it was like a trigger for me, even being around, other people that was getting high, because I'm like, that's what my mother did all my life. The drinking, I'll drink here and there, but I won't get like busted or blasted, anything like that. And then, just, seeing the repo in. So that's how I learned about credit, as a child. I would ask questions as, well, why they coming to pick up your car? And so, well, I didn't pay it. So I kind of, had that in the back of my head. All right, if I have a car loan, I don't pay it, they're going to come and repo it. Of course, we had plenty of times where, lights will get cut off. So it was like, all right, if I don't pay these bills, these lights going off. Mm-hmm. And, I recall, times going to bed hungry or going to bed with only eating canned goods. You know, that's one thing my mother did do. We had the good old food stamp. So she would get the meat, but she would stock up on canned goods. So whether it was the, you know, Vienna sausages or the, you know, green beans, sweet peas or something like that, I can always go and get me a little canned good. So just, you know, keeping that fresh in the back of my mind growing up. I guess that's kind of why I never had friends, because I was doing the opposite of what my friends were doing. You know, when we were getting out of high school, they were going to chill on the block where I was going to work, because it's like, all right, if I don't go work and get the money for myself, Mom Duke's the only bread she got is to go get her little beer and get her little high and, you know, pay the bills. So if I wanted fresh clothes or shoes, I know I had to go and work for it. So it's done me good. And I'm glad God has given me the strength to stay strong, you know, because when I became an adult, it was like, you know, looking at other people that came from where I came from, is like, how are you still where you're at? Why do you not want better for yourself? And it's like, I just had to come to the realization that not everyone is strong enough or have that mindset to push through no matter what. So, you know, growing up, my goal was to be a police officer. And my mother, she had hit like rock bottom with the drugs. So we had moved down to Fort Campbell, Kentucky with my aunt and her husband. And her husband was in the military. And when I got down there saying that, I'm like, yo, you know, this uniform is nice. I want to do that too. Right. So, you know, when I told him that, he was like, well, you can do both. You can be in the military and you could be a police. And so that's what happened. You know, from there on, it was like, that's all I wanted. I wanted to, you know, be in the military as a police officer. So going through middle school and high school, I joined ROTC. You know, I just worked, and that was just my goal, because I knew nothing else. I knew nothing about being an entrepreneur, or, you know, nothing. So I went into the military. I graduated a year early from high school because I was just tired of, you know, it was the same thing. You know, every 2 weeks, I already know my mother about to get high. And you know, after she coming down on her high, she started tripping out on me for no reason. So I was like, I got tired of that. You know, I had a full ride to college, to Morgan State. And I was like, you know, I don't even want to go to college anymore. Let me just go ahead and go in the military. Let me get out of the crib. So I did that. My first 2 years, I got lied to from my recruiter. He told me that a logistical specialist was law enforcement. Logistical specialist is a supply in the Army. So my first 2 years, I was like miserable. So you talking about a kid from the projects, someone who really don't know anything about manners and being tactful, you know. So my couple of years in the Army was like a little hell for me, because I didn't want to tell nobody yes sir or no sir, or, you know, I just wasn't with the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
But I grew to adapt, because I was like, all right, this is what I want to do for 20 years. But I finally reclassed and got into the military police thing, and that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, because it's a lot of cliques over there. I was the only young Black E5, which is a sergeant. I made rank very fast, so I had a lot of people who, you know, was looking down like, this kid not even ready type of thing. So I struggled with that, but I started to get around to the whole entrepreneur thing. I was always interested in being my own boss, even from a kid. You know, I used to cut grass, wash cars, and stuff like that in the summertime. So as I started to go to these outreach meetings about entrepreneurship, I slowly but surely drew away from the military, and I had started my shuttle service at 18, and at the time there were a lot of military police soldiers getting DUIs. And, you know, I'm just always there to help people. You know, coming from where I come from, is like, I want to help, you know, those who are struggling. So I went to my first sergeant and I'm like, yo, I just started a shuttle service. We getting a lot of soldiers that are getting DUIs. I want to help out. I'm going to provide my shuttle service for free. You know, on Saturday and Sundays when they go to the club, I take my man out there and we'll bring them back on post for free. And he was with it. He was like, yeah, let's do it. So the next day I'm excited. You know, I got business cards ready, and I stopped past his office and I'm like, yo, you run that past the battalion commander? He like, nah, Sound Crossing, go look at policy number 11. So I'm still excited, not even realizing his whole persona had changed. So I go look at this policy, and it was unauthorized use of a secondary job. Me still not understand. I go back. I'm like, all right, what's up? I read it. What we doing? Right. And he like, the commander want to see you at 1300. Again, his whole mood had changed, but I didn't pick up on it. So I'm like, all right, bet he don't talk to the commander. We about to get busy. And at 1300, I go at 1 o'clock, and I stand on a red carpet. I'm getting read in Article 15, and Article 15 is just like when we get a ticket from the police and we got to go to court. It's a mandatory court appearance. So I'm getting read, and I'm getting in trouble for owning a business without getting authorization from the commander. Wow. And that right there woke me up, and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I can't, I'm not gonna do this. So I had went to sick call, and I talked to my doctor. I'm like, yo, I gotta get out. And he was like, yeah, they're kicking me out. And he was like, all you need to do now is start building your medical file. He said, don't just get out right now. You want to build this medical file, so when you get out, you can get a check for the rest of your life. So I stuck and stayed in for about a year longer, but I built that medical file. So now I get a check for the rest of my life. I've been getting paid since 2014, and I've never touched that check. So we talking like a little over $250,000 that's sitting in the bank. So
wow,
now that's a whole bar in a gym right there. Cause I know it's a whole lot of soldiers, the people that's in the military that are watching a podcast. So if you are considering getting out, just make sure you have a strategy plan behind it. Don't just get out. Make sure you build in your medical file. Make sure you're taking advantage of all the time that's needed so that you can get, that 0% down on your housing, your free schooling and all that stuff. So that's why I stayed that additional year, so that I can ensure that I got my medical, I got my VA loan where my crib, 9,200 square feet. I put 0% down. My schooling, got a full master's completely for free. Now taking civilian classes for free. So I had a strategy going out, but before I got out, I had ended up meeting 2 warrant officers. And one of them, they both were in the drug game, but one of them finally approached me because he knew I was from DC, and he had coke, and I didn't know he was getting kicked out. So he was just trying to find out another, source of income. So he coming like, bro, you know anybody that deal with coke? And I'm like, you know where I'm from? Yeah. So he gave me it was something small. I think it was like a half a key or something like that. And I had already had it.
Oh, just a half a key, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
It's a casual half. This is no big deal.
Yeah.
Casual half a key.
But I made that call to the crib, and I'm about to come up the road. I'll be there in 4 hours. Before I got there, it was sold. So now we talking, I'm making $500 just to run something up the road. Then I'm making an additional $1,000 or $2,000 a week with my shuttle service. And in the military, I'm only making probably like $1,500 for the month. So I'm like, yo, this is not it. Like, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. Writing's on the wall.
I built that file and I got out, man. But the thing was really me getting in trouble for trying to help out. And I was like, this can't be it. Like, there's no way I'm going to sit here for 20 years, allow somebody to, I missed the birth of my son because I had to wait to get permission from the commander to write off on leave. So all this stuff is starting to add up, and it's like, it don't make sense. So I ended up falling victim back to what I knew, which was the drug game. So when I got out in 2014, I came back home, and I started doing my thing in the streets. And I ended up having a client. He was, I still remember this dude. He used to come from Kentucky every week faithfully. And he would always have a raggedy car behind him. And after probably his 3rd or 4th trip, I'm like, bro, why do you keep coming to me with this raggedy car right here, bro? And he broke down the trucking game for me. He's like, well, this is, he made it a joke. He was like, well, this is how I pay you. So we laughing, we chuckling about it. But again, remember, I'm business minded at this time. So I'm like, all right, that was funny, but what you mean that's how you pay me? Let me know more. So he said, go to centraldispatch.com and you can go and find loads. So anyone that's looking to get into trucking and you want to haul cars, centraldispatch.com is a platform that you can utilize to go find vehicles to transport, because a lot of people think, all right, I want to start a trucking company, but I don't know how to get the customer. So there you go.
Right. And not to cut you off, but this story, man, like, first of all, you need to try to sell it to Netflix. First of all, right. This story needs to be sold because people, it's a TV series. I already see it, but right. I just want to give the team and me included this time to pull out what we've taken away from your story, because when you tell a story, sometimes people miss the gems. Yeah. Right. And a few things that I saw that stuck out is, you know, you're always a man thinking about multiple streams of income, right? You know, that income from the military was not enough for you, right? Two, your, you know, current situation is not your final destination. As a person that went through a lot of childhood traumas, I feel like it's an advantage because it gave me the strength, and I grew up faster than everybody else. So by the time I became an adult, it was easy being an adult because I had been through so much as a child. So those are two very important things that I don't want the audience to overlook when it goes into your story, because I think that was so powerful. Not team, anybody else want to chime in on the way so far?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off one of the things you said, it's like, I call it training through trauma, right? So it's like everybody wants to go to the gym and they get strong, and the only way to get stronger in the gym is to have resistance, right? If you lift in super light weights, you're not going to transform your body, but in real life, people don't realize that. Like, if you want to sharpen and soft, you want to become stronger to be able to be resilient and do all the things you want to do. Like, you're gonna have some pressure, you're gonna have some resistance. And I think we see it all the time. You know, the kids who grow up, you know, got everything handed to them, and they wonder why we killing them now. Now, again, I'm not saying that I want my kid, my son, which will be here any day now, like 2-3 days. Appreciate that. I'm not saying I want him to quote unquote have to get it out of the mud, but I do want him to have a certain level of mentality and a certain level of resistance to know, like, hey, like, when you get out here in this real world, like, you competing with a lot of different people. And so I think just those experiences that you went through just really, you know, kind of molded you to be able to, you know, win in a different way. And then just a real curious question I had is, like, what's the statute of limitations on, like, being able to, like, just be able to share, like, what you went through? Because I always wonder that when I hear this, I'm like, is he gonna be straight?
I'm like, how far back can they go? Like, you know, like,
it don't even matter. They don't have any evidence. I was that smooth with it.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
You know, that was a lot. It's funny because that was a lot of that was a lot of the comments that I seen on the David Shands podcast. Like, this dude, he telling on this.
I was like, yo, like, you seem so comfortable. I'm like, bro, he's a smart man. He know if he's saying this, he did his research.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, bro, I just feel as though I have to tell my story. Even when I go around and I'm touching these big stages, I give my testimony because there are so many people that have my same story who they're trying to find a way out. Right. And, you know, it's one thing when we touch stages and we talk and we, you know, when we have these audiences that we have, they think we've never gone through anything. Right. So it's like, to them, it's like, how can you tell me to do this, that, and a third when you don't even relate to me? Right. So it's just important for me to let people know that, listen, I come from the bottom for real. And, you know what I'm saying? For me to make it out, trust and believe me, you can as well. So I wouldn't even care. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I wouldn't even care what the repercussions will be, because I know I've changed so many people's lives and have motivated and inspired so many people to just go. It is what it is. If FBI want to come and get me, it is what it is. Come on and get me. There ain't no evidence for you. But nah, I just think it's important, man, because I didn't have, you know, anyone to look up to, especially when it came down to this whole entrepreneur wave. Like, and now they're getting younger, right? You having 14 and 15-year-olds that are coming to these masterminds and these conferences.
Yo,
they know, like, yo, I don't have to go work a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? So it's important that we let them know, like, listen, we go through things as well. So, go ahead.
I was saying, you know, it was the gym that I took out of that was like, ask for forgiveness later. Because
that's big.
Ask first, ask for forgiveness later, because in the financial planning industry, we are subject to some of the same rules, right? So as a financial planner, when you work for a certain company, you have to disclose your outside business activities, you know, other ways that you have money coming in, right? And so that holds a lot of people back in that industry, because they're like, oh, well, I can't go start my own business on the side. I can't do this. And I'm like, how about you act first and ask for forgiveness later? So, you know, when they find out, then you can let them know. But I mean, there are tactful ways to go about it, but it's like, if you really want something, if you're really hungry for it, you're going to have to do things that you're not comfortable doing. Absolutely. Right. So having to break that rule there to start bridging that gap between where you are and where you want to be financially or business wise, you have to take some risks. Right. So, you know, I had to take those risks too. I fortunately didn't get caught. Shout out to my old job. Love y'all. But I had to do it because I was like, look, y'all not cutting the check I need. Like, I got to get this money, because that's the real key, I think, to changing your situation. So while I have the mic here, I'm going to share a 5-star review that we got on our Apple Podcast reviews. So #new, and my eyes are bad, guys. Let me put this closer. #new 2022 said, thank you so much for the invaluable teachings and insight. I'm starting on ground zero, so the only way to go is up. So thank you so much for sharing that. Whoever shared that, feel free to send us an email at podcast@melaninmoney.com. We will have a special gift for you, because we understand, like, this is another thing that stuck out about what you're saying, Shaod, is like, people need to hear that we started from ground zero. Like, the rest of us have shared our stories, so you guys can go back and listen to previous episodes, but we started from ground zero. All of us did, right? Like, that's a big reason why we speak specifically to melanin aspiring millionaires, because we know, like, starting from ground zero, these are the hurdles that you're going to have to jump through. So I appreciate you, like, sharing your story and saying, like, hey, I'm here for y'all, and these are the things that you need to do in order to not look like what you've been through.
Wow, that was way to wind that together. Jesus.
No, facts, I love that. And that's why I live by this, man. Like, a lot of people, like I said, now the presence that we have is like, all right, we see the cars, we see the clothes and the houses. Like, who are you for real? And I tell people, like, all right, it's not sweet. I don't look like what I've been through for real. You know what I mean? So that's why I push this. But also to add to what you were saying, people have to understand that you can't allow anyone to have a hold over your life, no matter how uncomfortable you may be. If you have to pay the repercussions, meaning I was willing to get that Article 15. I was willing to have, because I had to do extra duty. They took pay away from me for 2 weeks, and I had to leave my home for 2 weeks to stay in the barracks. But I was willing to do that to have my freedom. I didn't allow them to tell, and this is something they told me. They told me, stop your business. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stop my business because I didn't come and ask permission from you. And I kind of like live by that model with everything that I do, even with the whole, the boats and jet ski thing here in DC. And I get into it. But when I initially tried to get into it 6 years ago, those people told me no, right? And I never gave up on that dream and that goal. I just didn't know how I was going to attack it, but I never gave up on it. But those same people that told me no 6 years ago have now been calling my, like, all summer. I got notes almost every month. Call PF Hoffman. They want me to come and sit down and have a meeting with them to try to help them organize their boat rental. And it's like, hell no, I'm not doing that now. You're counting me out. You tell me no. But now I own the largest boat rental company here in DC and the only jet ski rental here in DC. So listen, whatever you're going through, keep going. No matter what, don't allow anyone to tell you no at all, right? Because you control you. You bet on yourself and you keep going no matter what. But to get back to the story, so he was, I asked him about the whole trucking thing, and he was like, go to centraldispatch.com. That's how you get your trucks or whatever. I mean, your load. So I took 5,000. I had just made 5,000 off of whatever I had to sold with the coat. And I went and took I took that to the dealership, and I got my truck. So I started working the truck. I'm still doing my thing in the streets, but I'm trying to get into this legal zone now. So like I said, I had at the time 7 people working for me. And so those people started to get locked up. So I was working now 2 years with the trucking, working 2 years. You're talking about dedication. 2 years straight, every single day. I was working 20 to 22 hours a day. So I was only sleeping 2 to 4 hours a day for 2 years straight, right?
Wow.
2 years straight. So a lot of people like, damn, how how do you have what you have? It's because I bust my ass for 2 years to get to where I'm at now, right? So I started the trucking thing. I'm doing that for 2 years. I'm missing so much time away from my kids. And I started to realize that was weighing on them. So I told him, I said, listen, this summer is going to be different. At the time, I had already owned a boat. I was like 18 when I first got my first boat. I had a bow rider. For those of you that are listening or watching, BOWRIDER, I had a bow rider. It's like a ski boat, right? So I told him, listen, we're gonna change this up this year. So I went out and I traded that bow rider for this pontoon. So I got this pontoon and I'm out one day, we grabbing lunch at the dock, and the guy, he come up to me, he's like, yo, you rent your boat out? And I'm like, nah, bro, like, get away from me. You know, I'm big headed. I got pride on my shoulder. You know, I'm just getting out the military. I'm just coming out of the street a little bit, son, you know, but then I stopped real quick and I say, you know what, this is God talking to me, right? Because remember, I'm trying to find a way out of the streets. So I said, this is God talking to me. So I hop off of that boat and I run over to the guy. I said, listen, I said, yeah, I rent my boat out. What are you trying to do? He said, man, I just want to take my family out for a couple of hours. I said, all right, cool. We exchange information. Again, me not having the business mentality or mindset, I'm like, man, this dude ain't gonna ever call me, man. And sure enough, the very next day, the kids and I are out doing the same thing. And he hit me. And he's like, yeah, I'm here where I met you at. We ready. So I'm like, damn. So I dropped the kids off. A good thing my grandmother lived right there by the water. So I dropped them off and I skirt back over to the dock. I pick him up. And the first thing this dude say when they get on the boat, all right, how much I owe you? So I'm like, oh, I said 400. I just threw the number out there. The reason why I said 400 is because at the time I had a personal loan, because a lot of people always like, Shaod, how do I even get the boat? I leveraged my credit. I had a personal loan for this boat. And at the time, my payment was like $367 or $397, something like that. So I'm just like 400, right? Because it's gonna pay for the month.
For the month.
You know what I mean? So I'm riding, and I'm in my head. I'm like, man, he's sweet. I just got over. But then as I'm cruising, I'm like, yo, if I do this once a month, this boat is free to me now. Yeah. So I'm trying to critique and figure out how I can do it. And when I was in North Carolina, I left this out, but when I was in North Carolina, I had partnership in a club. I owned 2 clubs in North Carolina. So I knew all about promoting and, you know, pushing, you know, brochures and all that good stuff. So I'm like, in my head, as I'm cruising, I'm like, yo, I might have put some brochures together. We about to get cracking. Me not knowing the business, I put it out there for $630, $450, right? People just paying that left and right. I'm like, yo, this is easy right here. But I need some more money because this little 600 for 4 hours ain't doing it. I was making that in the street.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out ways on how to bring additional money. So as I'm into the business, probably like 3 or 4 weeks in, I'm like, all right, people that come on a boat, they come in with 2 things. They come in with alcohol and they come in with food. So let me just go ahead and scale that. Let me go ahead and add a $200 fee for you to bring alcohol, because I ain't gonna be able to say you're gonna have to pay $200 to bring the food. You're gonna have to pay that $200 to bring the alcohol. So they started paying it. So now I'm getting $830 for $50, and they not budging. I'm like, I can get a couple more out of it. So then when I realized that, I said, all right, I still can't do the $200 for the food fee. What else can I do that make it mandatory? I said, all right, bet. Now I'm gonna do a mandatory cleaning fee. So now you got the $630, $450 for the boat rental. You got the $200 for the liquor, and then you got the $200 for the cleaning fee. So now I don't got to where I wanted to be at, and that's how I came up with my $1,200 for 3 hours. But now after I've been in the business, it's like there's so many other ways that you can scale. You know, having a tube, you can go to West Marine and buy yourself a $200 tube.
One time fee.
Rent that out and make your bread right back. Or if you're someone who's not, you know, people friendly or what have you, you don't want to be around the same people for 3 or 4 hours, you can strictly do tube rides. You can get you a 3-man tube. You can charge $75 per person for 15-minute rides. If you do that for an hour, that's $900 an hour. You do that 8 hours of the day, that's $7,200 a day that you could make just on pulling people on this tube off of this $300 tube that you don't board.
That's $2 million a year if you could work every single day.
Yo, he didn't start talking spicy yet, but
listen, man, I hope they're getting what I'm putting down, man.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So let me ask a selfish question. You know how they say, this for
asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend, right? So it's like, so you get in the boat rental game. Sounds like you got a different options that you can leverage. What happens if somebody doesn't live near a space where they can like be actively there to like rent out the boat? Is it still possible to get into this industry?
Yeah, because George lives in the country in the middle of
I don't live in the country. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't live
you're in the perfect zone, bro. You gotta take over. I actually have the young man that I posted today, he bought my jet ski mini course. He lives out in Charlotte. Charlotte is wide open, bro. And I have about 3 mentees that are out there in Charlotte. For sure, to answer your question, you could definitely I'm all the way here in D.C. I have a yacht all the way in Mexico. And we'll get into that later, but I'm able to leverage that one a little more than I do here in D.C. Because of the vacations that are taken over in the Caribbean. But to answer your question, yes, you can live one place and have your equipment in another. It actually runs just like Turo, right? Gotcha. So there are a lot of people who own, who know how to operate boats, but they don't own boats because, in the boat world, you're going to hear you're only going to enjoy a boat a couple of times, and that's when you buy it and when you sell it, right? And that's only on the recreational side. But commercially, you're making money, so you loving it all year or however long you have it, right? But you can definitely rent it out to those who know how to operate and just don't own it. It's just that you need to make sure that they have a boat safety certificate, and you can go to boatus.org and get the safety certificate for free. And then follow whatever rules and regulations that the state requires. Like here in DC, we're required to administer a test. Even if they have their certificate, we still have to administer a test to ensure that they really know what they're doing, because this test is free and it's open book. So you want to make sure, that you allowing your equipment to go out with people that know how to operate it anyway. So with that being said, there are a lot of people who come out and say, yeah, I know how to operate a boat, or I know how to operate a jet ski. You still want to do a pre-inspection to ensure that they do, even if you're in a state that does not require you to go out. Like a lot of the questions I get about the jet skis is, well, do I have to send an employee out with the customers? And some states, they don't require you to, but I recommend you do, because a lot of people come through saying, yeah, I know what I'm doing, and they don't. And one or two things are going to happen. One, they're going to mess up your equipment and they're going to total it, or two, they're going to get out there and hurt themselves or someone else. And if that happens, either way, it's going to fall back on you. So it just makes sense to go ahead and send someone out there with customers at all times.
Oh, that's real. Because we got on a boat last summer. I don't recommend Lake Lanier if you're in Atlanta, but I had some friends from out of town. We hop on the boat. My friend's boyfriend was like, yeah, I could drive the boat. He almost drowned all of us. Okay. So that's real. Like, make sure they know how to really drive the equipment.
Yeah, it's a fun activity. It's a great activity. But I will say, me being in the industry as long as I have now, and over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of people who don't know what they're doing due to COVID. It's just like there's nothing else but to go on the water. And just being out there, hearing people cry for their lives on that radio, screaming for help. I've just taken a different approach, and this is really why I created my program, because the last thing you want to do is start a business and people start dying left and right, and that's on your watch or your clock. So if you are considering getting into the boat rental industry, just know and understand, every single day we are in charge of other people's lives. So ensure that you get the proper education, whether you come to me or you go to a captain school. Make sure that you get the proper education. Not only that, because of the rules and regulations that's governed around boats and jet skis, you as an operator are required to know about the rules of the road. So if you do go out there and you get hemmed up, they don't want to hear, oh, I didn't know, or I wasn't sure about that. They're going to write your ass a ticket. And when it comes on the commercial side, you're talking about a minimum of 10,000. And just a quick little story on that. I had a buddy of mine down at the marina that I have my boats at. He has 4 pontoons. And I'm like, yo, you need to go and get your license, bro. He's like, man, I'm good, bro. But he making so much money. He's not worrying about doing it the proper way. And probably a week later, he hit me like, bro, you ain't gonna believe this. I'm like, what? He's like, I just got pulled over by Coast Guard. I said, I just told you, but what happened? You good? He like, hell no, I ain't good. They fined me 10,000 like you told me. So listen, you would think he would have learned this lesson, y'all, but he didn't. So a week later, well, it wasn't even a whole week later. A couple of days later, he went out and did the same thing, but this time he got all 4 boats out, right? So what you think happened? He got hit again. So now you're talking times 4. So now you're talking about 50K, and they told him he can't operate no more, right? This is the thing. It's a small world, right? And if you realize on the back of boats, you have a name of the boat, right? So with the Coast Guard, if they hit you and they fine you, they're taking pictures of your boats and they putting you into the database. So as they're cruising, it's just like the police when we're driving around. A lot of them, they put in your tag number, running your tax in if you got any warrants or your registration, all that stuff is good. Or they have the little machines on the back of their car that's doing it for them automatically. So it's the same thing with the Coast Guard. As they're running up and down the river, you thinking they're not paying attention to you. These people got binoculars and they typing in the name of your boat or your hull number and it said if you're getting hit. So 9 times out of 10, that's what happened to him. He was out there and they seen all of them and they just hit him. So now he's been out of business for the last 2 years because he can't afford this 50,000 because he can't go out there and make the money, right? So this is why I just encourage people, listen, get the education, whether you come to me or go get it properly, but you're going to pay that 10,000 either to the government or to me. It makes sense just to come on and
either way, you going to pay, you know what I'm saying?
Wait.
All right, man. So you're you get in the boating game. I know we kind of like told some stories and you gave some insight to like, so you gave some real quick like game that they can take away and actually do something with immediately. But like, just give us some insight to like, I think where like from where you are, where you started in the boating industry to like where you are now, like how did you like get there? Like, cause you gave us some really, really good backstory, some other stuff. I really kind of want to paint the picture. Like I started with one boat, did this and then,
okay. So again, just coming from the club scene, right? Because a lot of people, one of the other big questions that I get is, well, how do I find the clients, right? And I just tell people simply, I ask them, do you go out? And they always say, yeah, club. And I say, all right, so when you come out of the club, what's on your car? A brochure, right? They're always telling you about the next move. So it's the same thing with the boats, right? Although we've been spoiled with ads on Instagram and Facebook, I still believe in foot traffic and having a foot team to go out and put these flyers and brochures hand in hand, right? So you can definitely go and create brochures and tag cards, find out what's the popular clubs on Friday, Saturday, or what's the popping after hour spot, or just finding the high traffic areas where you can go and advertise at. And then also just building relationships with the local small businesses, whether it be apartment buildings and the club, the hotels. Like that's one of my favorites, the hotels. And my little script when I go in, because the first thing I know when I travel and I go to and I'm staying in a hotel, the first thing I ask the receptionist is like, yo, what is it to eat and what is it to do? Right. So once I put that in my head, I'm like, all right, bet I can, take this and implement this within the business. And this can work with any business, not just the boats and jet skis, but just simply going and introducing myself to the concierge manager, letting them know, hey, I own the only jet ski and boat rental here in DC. Just wanted to come over and introduce myself and offer my services to both you and your clients. But not only that, I just wanted to offer you a discount as well. For both you and your staff. I'd like to offer you 25% off, and anyone that you send, we'll offer them 10% off just for staying here at the hotel for you. So just that little script right there, it's making the hotel look good because they're getting them a discount for staying at their hotel, but also just giving that 25% to the staff. They're not only promoting to those who are staying at the hotel, but also promote to their friends and family as well. Right. So that was kind of like my free marketing. And then I started going into the different apartment buildings that are next to my office. You're talking apartment buildings with 300 or 400 residents, and I would just do little sweet stuff and send flowers to the general manager. Just let her know, I just want to introduce myself, and we have a service here on the water, and I would love for you to let your residents know that we operate here, and doing stuff like that, and just building genuine relationships around those that are around me. But then I took it a step further. At the time I had hair. I went and cut my hair off. I took my nose ring out, and I started going into the lawyers' offices. I started going into the doctors' offices. I even went over to the judges' chambers and started, introducing it to them. And then I would start hitting when I go to Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all that stuff, I'll actually speak to the manager. And my question to the managers will be, how's the morale here in your company? And 9 times out of 10.
Whoa.
My man going in.
Say that again. So yeah, repeat that, man. That's crazy. I never heard anybody ask that question.
Yo, he giving y'all sauce right now, like low key.
And listen, you got to learn how to read between the lines when somebody's speaking to you. You got to listen up. So hopefully they catching it. But when I would go to these high-end stores, I wouldn't act. I didn't want to shop with the salesman, not because anything was wrong, but my objective was going here to introduce myself to the top person here. So I would ask to speak to the manager, and when the manager came over, 9 times out of 10, they're introducing themselves. So when they would come over and say, "Hey, I'm such and such. I'm the manager. I heard you wanted to speak to me," and I'll just let them know, "Yeah, I'm Shaod. I'm shopping, but I also wanted to let you know that I own the only jet ski and boat rental here in DC. And just a quick question for you, because I'm just doing a little survey. How's the morale here in the store?" And they always would tell me like, "It's okay." And I would immediately say, "Well, listen, I just want to throw something your way. Won't you shut the store down one day and bring the team out, or whenever you guys close for the day at 5, won't you come out on the water from 6 to 9 and just build that morale up?" And a lot of them would actually do that. So that's how I started getting my high-end clientele. So every year, I know I'm going to have dentists that come out. I know I'm going to have judges that come out. I know I'm going to have CEOs that come out just by me putting that little, "Hey, how's the morale?" A lot of CEOs, they're so far gone, they're not even thinking about the morale in the company. They're just thinking about that money. So me putting that idea in their head, they like, damn. I throw them off when I ask them.
You threw me off.
Why you asking? Like, who you coming from corporate or something?
How's the morale here?
Right.
So, but it worked. And so that's how I started building my big clientele. And then eventually I started touching the ads. I know last year I only ran one ad, and it was just a simple high energized ad, basically saying, "Yo, if you plan on partying with us here at Shaod's Miracle Boat and Jet Ski Rental this year, we sell out. Make sure you book your ticket now." This going in high energy. I'm on the top of the boat as the boat is moving. But a lot of my clients are organic, right? Because when they come and get on that boat, they don't want to leave, right? The morale is just there. Like you're getting A1 top-notch servers, white gloves. When you get on there, you have a mimosas. Like you feeling that vibe. You just like, yo, like you'll think you on a mega yacht, right? When you really just on a little $30,000-$40,000 pontoon, but just the service. And then I like to scale Bentley pontoon. Those are the pontoons that I like the most. Bentley pontoon. Just people get excited by Bentley, right? And when I realized that, I was like, yo, I'm about to take this and I'm about to scale. And I started telling them, like, listen, when you take your pictures, go ahead and tag us. But although we were giving them this exciting, excursion, a lot of them weren't tagging, right? And I didn't understand it. So I took it a step further, and I started getting stickers printed out. So now when you get on the boat, my IG is everywhere on the boat. So when you take that picture, you have no other choice but to tag me, right? So it was just thinking outside of the box on how I can scale and go to the next level with it. But I know that the question is coming, how much does a Bentley pontoon cost you? And it just depends on which model you go with. I highly recommend going with the 240 Cruise. A 240 Cruise in today's world is going to cost you about $35,000 and upwards. 2 years ago, you could have got it for like 25. But now, because the market is hot, they add in an extra little 10 and 15,000 on there. I had a mentee who wanted to go after the Bentley Elite Admiral. That boat's gonna cost about 75,000. But I just tell everyone, be careful as to trying to jump out there at the top, and there's no need to. And I wish I had my whiteboard here to show why. But if you could just follow me real quick, I always do a whiteboard comparison between a yacht and a pontoon, right? You'll go out and you'll spend 50,000 on a pontoon, on a yacht, and 30,000 on a pontoon. But with this yacht, because it's luxury and it's prettier and bigger, you tend to rent it out for more, right? So are you going to have more people that's willing to pay you 500, or are you going to have more people that's willing to pay you 1,000? A lot of people will go over to that 500, right? So that's why I tell people, you don't have to go out and spend 6 figures on a boat. You can start as little as, 5,000 on a used boat. But with this pontoon, you're gonna make your money right back the same year. There's no need to go. It took me 4 years to go buy a yacht. And that's because I just wanted to bring and generate that money first and allow that money to pay for my other equipment.
No, I like that a lot. So are you recommending your students to do any kind of like arbitrage? So like, if let's say they have family members who are like, oh, I want to get a boat and I'll rent the boat out for you. Like, are you recommending that? How does that work?
Not really. A lot of them, they like, I do allow like couples or like business partners to come in and work with each other. Like, I may have one who lives in Florida and the other, he lives in, somewhere else, and they pretty much putting bread together, and one is operating a business. But I always encourage people to work with family, whatever, but a lot of them, I'm really just recommending, like, for example, if Carter, he wanted to purchase the jet skis and you wanted to go out and buy a boat, I recommend you guys do a joint venture and run the operation together, so to speak, but not, yacht clubs are, that's something that I'm working on. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about it because it's not all the way out there yet. I don't want nobody to take my idea, but I have taken the traditional way of running a yacht club and have flipped it to, normally with a traditional yacht club, the company is purchasing the yacht and the client is paying a member's fee and then a monthly fee.
Right.
I flipped it. I started last year where the client buys the boat, they put it onto my fleet, and we do a 60-40 split. We take 60, they take 40. And the reason why we take 60 is because we're taking care of insurance, we're taking care of dock fees, we're taking care of everything. So you're just making this 40% every single year. So now we're franchising that. So franchising.
Sign me up.
Yeah, right. Because
franchising Dallas and Houston. We're looking at Pittsburgh right now. We're over in Cancun, Mexico. Highly recommend people to get over into the international waters, and it's simply because it's all year round over there, right? And then when us from the States or other countries, when they travel, they tend to go to the Caribbean. And over there, because of that, me having a larger yacht over there, and what I typically do with my pricing, because I know somebody's probably asking, well, how do you come up with pricing? Me, again, coming from the club scene, I try to distinct, all right, it's a group of people coming together. 9 times out of 10, when people go to the club, they all putting up on a table. So that's the same mindset I've gone out there when it came down to coming up with my pricing for the boat. If the boat can hold 12 people, let me go ahead and charge $100 per person. That's going to give me my 1,200. So the same thing in Mexico, I got 20 some people that can get on that yacht. All right, I'm gonna charge 100, 120 per person, and it's gonna give me my 2,400 for the 3 hours over there. So that's kind of how like I do my pricing and what have you. You really have to do the market research. Like in Atlanta, I know they rent out pontoons for $400 or $500. For 4 hours. You can get it. You still can get it. Although there's people that's already doing that, you still can get to 100. It's just you got to draw the people in. Not a lot of people understand or know about, boat rental. So, once you started bringing that crowd in and you giving them a different atmosphere, they wouldn't mind paying, what you're asking them to pay.
That's love. That's love. So like if somebody, I mean, you just gave people enough game where they can at least start like piecing stuff together and trying to figure it out on their own, because you just gave a lot of sauce. But if somebody's like me and they're like, look, I'm trying to expedite my learning curve. I ain't really got time to be trying to piece it all together. Like this was a ton of game, but I want to tap in. Like, what would you recommend somebody do? Like, what's the first thing you recommend somebody do who says, you know what, this is for me. This is unique. I ain't never heard of this. He put me on game. Like, what would you recommend that they do if they serious about getting started in this game?
Getting a mentor, whether that be me or someone else. And I mean, I haven't found anyone else that's, doing what I'm doing, but honestly, getting a mentor, that's something that's changed my life this year. I became a millionaire at the age of 20, but I've now been making money faster and easier than I ever have just by getting in the room with the proper people and giving me the game. So, for those that don't know, they should know, but, these courses and these mentorships and these conferences and stuff, they're really just the fast pass to get to where you're trying to go at. Again, the reason why I even came up with this program was to ensure that others don't go out and make the same mistakes that I made.
$50,000 mistake that your friend made.
Right. Yeah. So, I laugh about it, but it's the truth. It's either you're going to come and pay me $10K or you're going to pay the government $10K. But after you pay the government that $10K, you still back at square one, not knowing the information. So it's just easier to find a mentor that's doing what you're trying to do, getting the proper information and then going about it versus trying to get the equipment, learn it, getting tickets, getting fined, getting blacklists, and then you're done. And that almost happened to me, actually. I mean, we didn't get to that part, but I had one cop in D.C. Who just, I don't know, he had it out for me, I guess, because I was young and black with all this stuff, and he just couldn't figure it out. But me coming from the military as a military police, I knew how to handle that situation. I just simply went over and had a meeting with the sergeant and never had the issue again. But if you do come across a nasty police officer out there on that water, they will take you under, right? And most people, when they coming into business, they're not looking to turn them right around and get blacklisted and trying to, pay $10,000 in fine. And that's just the bare minimum. You're not talking, each thing that you do it's a fine behind it. That was just a minimum. That was them being nice to him, right? It could very well been, hundreds of thousands. You know what I mean? And then the worst thing that can happen is you get out there and somebody dies, right? Like I said, me listening to people scream for their lives and me actually being out there helping Coast Guard look for dead bodies, it's changed my mind when it comes down to the safety behind it, right? At first it was about the money. Let me make this money. I'm making 100,000 every month in this boat game. Nah, I had to quickly stop and humble myself and realize, all right, I'm in charge of somebody's life. So if I go out here and I'm operating illegally and I'm operating recklessly, somebody can die. And now that's going to be on my conscience. So I recommend anyone get the training. You don't have to come to me, but I am Zebo Goats.
Hey, if I can step in, man, I just want to say personally, as a testament to you, man, like I've been watching you for a while. We're in the same mastermind, and like you said, you don't want a mentor that doesn't have a mentor, right? And I can attest to Shaod investing his education, paying attention in class. Like he's one of the most, people in our mastermind is always asking the right questions. So, and to be real, like you are the best in the game from my knowledge when it comes to this. And man, it's just huge because cutting the check to go faster, you can get rich faster, you can get rich slow, right? The choice is up to you, but you can get money back, you can't get time back. So that's why we're really excited, man, to have you teach in our Melanin Millionaire Club, because I know you gave a little bit of game here, but I know we have more time with our in our community. You can really give them the game. And like, bro, I didn't know this was possible. This is like Turo in 2015, 14, like it's at the cusp, right? Like, we just getting into it. So the fact that you are out in the forefront, not just being selfish and keeping the game to yourself, but giving people a resource so they can learn, they can grow, and they can also have a lot of fun.
That's love.
What's that?
No, I was saying I appreciate that. I appreciate the flowers.
Yeah.
And you know, we ain't talk about it, but Carter and I, we actually met before the mastermind when we were leaving Circle CEO conference. We were giving our own mastermind in the airport.
So, we was helping these kids out, man. It was dope. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. That's so cute.
Also, just real quick, I don't want to leave this out. You know, because there's a lot of people that's in real estate nowadays too. You actually can build your own community of boat houses. You can actually purchase these boat houses very cheap and rent those out if you're looking to do either monthly rentals or Airbnb. That's something that I took advantage of, buying these boat houses and renting them out on a monthly basis. And the good thing about these houseboats, you can up and go whenever you want to, but also it costs you nothing to live there, right? You talking your water being $10, $15 a month, your electric being, $20, $30 a month. So that's also something to consider. If you're not looking to getting into the chartering side, you can bring it in on the real estate side.
You know what just came to mind, and Jack, I know you had something you wanted to share. What just came to mind when you said that, I didn't think about, like wrapping like the boat rental, depending upon where you have it, it's like a dope like Airbnb like add-on, or like a short-term rental add-on. Like, hey, you got the Airbnb, but I also got this boat you can rent. You can just get.
You got the Airbnb. You got drunk because you paid the $200 fee. Now you need somewhere to lay your head. I got you.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of money out here, man. Hey, man, you dropped some game on our head top, man. So we appreciate you.
You dropped a lot of game, and like there's a few gems that really stood out for me, and I want to share this really quickly because I think that it's major. So when I was advising and I worked in a firm, right, I had a co-advisor, like a lead advisor that I worked with, right, and he had been in the game for like 15 years. So we get these clients that come in, all right? Clients are 55-ish. They have about $3 million saved, right? Gone through their whole financial plan. Like they're Gucci. They're going to retire. Dude is like high up in his company. They're pulling in $400,000 a year. They're good. So we're sitting there going through the numbers. And the lead advisor tells this man that he cannot buy a $10,000 pontoon boat. Because he's like, the way it shakes your assets out, like, I just don't think that that's the best, lane for you guys to take. And, you got to pay the insurance. And what if something happens? And I was like, yo, these people make $400,000 a year and they have $3 million saved and they're 55. So like to Carter's point about you can't get time back, like you can't get time back. So now you're 55 and your advisor is telling you that you can't buy a boat and live your best life. Like, I'm just not with that. So then to hear you sit here and say like, yo, you could literally get a boat, we rent it out, you can still get some income from it and you have a boat. Like, it's like everything you want to do in this life is possible. You just have to figure out how to get it done. Right. Yep. So, I mean, that was crazy to me that he was like, nah, y'all, I'm not recommending that you buy a $10,000 boat. I was like, what? The man is 55.
Yeah, and the thing too is most people just, they don't know that, because I laugh when I hear people say you're only gonna be happy when you buy or when you sell it. Like they just don't know, but you really can just, let it pay for, just like the cars. Like, yeah,
same thing.
I don't pay for any of my exotics. They pay for themselves. They get rented out. So I enjoy it for free. So same thing with the boats. Like I don't pay for them. Like they've been paid off a long time ago, but when I want to go and enjoy it, I didn't pay for it. I probably got the loan initially, but that loan was paid back through renting it out. So, it's we can go on and on about it, man, but it's just it's really just again betting on yourself.
That's the big thing.
Not accepting no from anyone. I don't care who it is, man. Like you can't tell me no. All right, I'm gonna get a yes out of you. I'm figure it out, and I'm gonna make you give me that yes. Just like I said, them white folk told me, nah, you can't set up over here. But now they're calling me like, yo, like begging me, please come down here and teach me what you know that you're bringing in this much traffic and not spending too much money on ads. Like, come and show us. I'm good, though.
I think that's the biggest thing. You hit the nail on the head, and we can wrap it up. Like, bet on yourself. I think where people get stuck when they're like, well, I want to do the Airbnb, or I want to do the luxury rental, or I want to get into this boat thing. Like, but what if I get stuck with it? I ain't gonna be able. Who's gonna pay the, the loan on? Like, they get so they're so scared that they're not going to make it work. But it's like what Carter also said, what happens if it does work, right? It's like the risk, worst case scenario, right? Let's take a lot like short-term rental. You got the rent or the mortgage is, I don't know, $1,500, right? Worst case scenario, you got $1,500 that you got to figure out how you're going to make it happen. But best case scenario, right? You got that thing rented out 28 days a month and you killing it, right? So I think people focus too much on the potential of what could go wrong and don't put enough energy into what could go right, man. So shout out to you, man. Big salute. I've kind of seen some of your stuff from afar, so it's dope to get to connect with you and just hear what you about, hear your story, man. I'm telling everybody about the boat goat. I got to get me a boat now. I got to tap in.
We getting that Melanin Millionaire yacht, and we gonna
Melanin Money Marina, baby. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we should go out the whole time. I ain't holding y'all. Like we need to.
That'd be dope. Like seriously, I'm not gonna say who it is, but I'm working with two guys that are heavy out here in the game now. They've been moving.
I already know who you're talking about.
I put it in their ear to go ahead and get that yacht and do masterminds every single month. All you need to do is a mastermind, $5,000 a head. That yacht is paid for the month, plus 3 or 4 months down the road, but just bringing the people together, and now you have an asset that you can always just hop up on and go.
And you can write that thing off because now it's education.
And you can write that thing off.
Hey.
But listen, I do want to lead with this. This is a gem. This is a place, something that I've been working on the last couple of months. I've taken my basement, 3,200 square feet. I don't utilize it, but I have a movie theater, sauna, gym, and all that crap down there. I've taken that, turned it into an Airbnb. But now with my Airbnb, I have the amenities, the jet skis, the boat, the slingshots, the exotic car rental, the horseback riding. So I just wanted to throw that out there for anyone who's just thinking about multiple streams of income on how to bring that bread in. I just gave you one major gem that you can take and just lock in one place and bring that bread in.
Yeah, it's genius, man. It's like, and because it's all in alignment, it's like, yeah, you got these multiple streams, but it's really just add-ons and benefits to.
It's the funnel. I got the Airbnb. I got to get the car. I need something to drive. Wait, it's Saturday. We might as well get the boat. So like, it's like a big lifetime.
Upsell, hell.
Upsell.
The major gem behind it is, guess what?
What?
You're living for free because my mortgage is going to get paid off of the Airbnb. I'm driving the exotics for free because your pants are rented out for the day. My monthly is going to get paid in one day. You're on the jet skis in the boat. That's going to get paid for free. So I'm living a free life, baby. Just
and making bread
together.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, we out with that, man.
No, we can't. We can't be out with that because it's Black History Month. So you gave a ton of bars, but I want to give like one last thing that you would say to all of the aspiring melanin millionaires. What would be that one bar that you would tell them right now?
Better yourself, believe in yourself, invest in yourself.
Love it. Mic drop. Hey man, I ain't gonna lie. This is in the rankings for
top episode,
man. This is
my favorite episode. I ain't gonna lie.
I ain't gonna lie. I had a lot of fun. I mean, I probably could still keep going if it wasn't for the. Hey, look, man, my guy. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate
a lot of fun, a lot of games. You know, you can't fake the energy, man. This is a real dude. You can tell, you can feel it through the Zoom screen, man. So
appreciate it, bro.
We appreciate you, bro. We're excited to be able to kind of have a kind of continuation on this in the class.
Yeah, man. I like my whiteboard, man. I'm missing my whiteboard.
Hey, I'll bring that thing out in the class.
We're gonna let you cook, bro. It's gonna be all because we ain't gonna have nothing to say. We're gonna introduce you. We're gonna let you cook. So
let's do it.
Hey, man. We appreciate you, bro. It was a real good time, man.
Okay, yeah. Y'all check the show notes. Everything's linked there. We appreciate you. Have a good night.
Peace.